Hello. Right, let me move that along. There we go. Hello, everyone. Hopefully you're all doing well. Welcome back to another stream. So today we'll be looking at the latest to see what everything's showing. As seen in the title and the thumbnail, storms is the theme. However, we really don't want to see it, do we? Let's be honest. But let's have a look at the latest to see what everything is showing. And yeah, we'll get straight on with things. I've got a few other bits to show you as well, like the current situation of the UK, some warnings, and some other stuff as well, and we'll go through all of that as we go along. Not expecting this to be a big live stream, but, you know, it's been nice to do it live every week, isn't it, to do a bit of a live stream. So yeah, we'll get straight on with things. I'm just going to move this so I can actually read the chat as we go along, and yeah, we'll get straight on with things. So I'm just going to bring up the current conditions. So, oopsie days, I've already drawn on that. Refresh the page, 1 minute. There you go. So, yeah, hello to everyone. We'll run through all the names. But yeah, I've got the Trinidad Show, Laura Johnson, hello to James098. Froglegs, good evening all. Looks like a dartboard low on the thumbnail. Certainly is. That's the theme. Gavin as well. Gavin L. Paul Gurley, we need you, SSW. Stop this barrage of low pressures. To be fair, technically an SSW is occurring right now. Sun-stratospheric warming is occurring right now, but we won't see any impact until at least 2 weeks out. But could be longer than that, could be less. And we might not even see any impacts, but it's much of a waiting game, really. Hello to Barb Mac, hello to you. Hopefully you're doing all right. Callum Weather, Tracy's in here. Got Mark Hill, how are you, bro? I'm not doing too bad, how are you, bro? Hello to James, 098. Beans on Toast Man. Lions FC. Chris A as well as always. And John. There's loads of you in here. Evening to you all. But yeah, the current situation is that we have higher pressure out to the west of the UK. We've got lower pressure shifting to the northeast. It's kind of going like this, up towards Norway and Sweden. And around that, we are getting a very brief northerly airflow. So it is allowing a few wintry showers to the far north. It's actually quite cold at the moment. So here it's 4 degrees. Let me know what it's like in your area. It's 4.8 degrees. Let me know what it is in your area. That's why there's a few wintry showers, such as around James's Shed, in the Highlands, parts of the Pennines, and the highest routes. There's an area of rainfall shifting southwards through the country, and that could turn a little bit wintry on the very highest ground. But again, not too much for most of us. Also, there's a few warnings for some cold weather as well. And yeah, when you send it to Scandi for me, snowing near me just now. Yeah, Braemar, you always get bloody snow. You're always very lucky, but hello to you as well. Yeah, you always get it. Hello to Earth Hearts as well. Hello to Lambsfield, starting to feel some double doubts about this winter again. Yeah, to be fair, I did forecast it could turn colder around 15th onwards, so we'll have to see how things develop. But yeah, right, yeah, so we're getting a brief northerly airflow, but as you can see by this chart, which is quite hard to see, and hopefully it doesn't glitch out on me, but you can see the westerly winds waiting in the wings to move in, but we are getting some brief colder air from the north. It's basically affecting northern England and southern Scotland for the majority of this time. Now, this is the latest UK Metafish run. Let's see what it is showing. Hello to Rachel. No yellow banana outfits today. Hello, Anne, as well. Evening all, pouring with rain here in York. Yeah, it's pretty bad here as well. It's been pretty bad all day, to be honest. And so this is the latest then. So we'll go to the current time, which is 7 p.m. here. Wintry showers feeding into the far north of the Scottish Highlands and over your highest ground. You can see a little bit of wintriness over maybe the Yorkshire Dales. There's also a little bit here as well, just to the west of me actually, over the Pennines and the highest ground, so maybe even Buxton. But you can see that there's a front clearing southwards. It does weaken very quickly on this latest UKV. But again, hints of maybe a couple of flurries. But overall, it's just a wet picture. It's been a very dismal day really for many. Looking further north, as you can see bands of rain, sleet and snow pushing in with that northerly airflow, which obviously brings showers mostly to the north and the east, but in this case, because it's so brief, it'll just be the north and the east before we do see some rain moving in from the west. May turn transient to snow over the very highest ground through Monday, but milder areas moving back in at this point, and all areas see quite heavy rain. Maybe hints of a squall feature here, as you can see, which is this intensely heavy rainfall, this narrow band in this sort of area. 9 a.m, you can see it moving in. 1st of December, waking up to a nice bout of rain moving in, and just continued rain. Well, that's really unsettled Monday into Tuesday, area of low pressure clearing away, and then we're very unsettled again, just maintaining westerly flow, and we get weather fronts moving in from the west, maybe again turning wintry over the very highest ground in the north, Sir James's Shed. I need to stop saying that. But then generally, maybe drying out by the very end, but overall, it's a mixed picture for many, particularly if you live in the south and the southeast, central Britain, and in the east as well. Hello, Hazel. It's nice to see you again. Hope you are well. Hopefully you are as well. Lynette, hello to you. I've got plenty of people in here. I was not expecting this live stream to get 60 people. Cheers, all. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. We're on the road to 3K. And yeah, that'll be great if we can get there by the end of this year. That'd be brilliant. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm just gonna have a quick sip out of the Send It mug. There you go. Back at it again. Right. Let's start then with a bit of fun. Let's have a look at the latest CFS midnight run 500 millibar height anomaly charts. A lot of people did not like when I did the that video. Ooh, comments on that video were pretty wild. When I did that CFS look ahead run. Obviously it's experimental and not to be taken seriously, but I guess some people really did. But yeah, for November, low pressure is through the country, but who cares, because it's December that we focus on. Northern blocking is developing over the Arctic Circle and the North Pole, and low pressure's out to the west and southwest of the UK. That's pretty mild, so pretty mild, wet and windy, particularly in the west of the UK. For January, oh wow, we've got low pressure out to the west of the UK, higher pressures sat to our southeast, winds in from a mild southwesterly flow. February, again, higher pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, winds in from a westerly direction, mild, wet and windy. And March, maybe ridging into the Atlantic slightly, but again, more of a west-northwesterly airflow. So basically, write that one off. It's terrible. This is the message there. It's pretty bad, to be honest. Hello to Rosemary. Hello to you. How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing all right. There you go. I'm sure I've dropped a like. Yeah. I think the cold start to winter is going down the path. No, I never said that. Don't say I said that. People on Twitter said that. Wasn't me. You can't blame me for that one. You can. Right, let's have a look at the latest model runs to see what they are showing for the next few weeks. So at the moment, we've got an area of low pressure clearing to the east of the UK, as I showed you on the Ventusky website, which shows you the maps. PG. Got a ridge of high pressure ridging through the country into Sunday. Kind of cold in the north and the east with a brief northerly flow. Before, here comes the Atlantic. Low pressure systems moving in for the 1st of December. And it turns very unsettled. Got areas of low pressure pushing in from off the Atlantic. And pretty mild as well. Winds in from the southwest. That's a mild, wet and windy scenario. By the 10th, slightly drying out in the south and the east, but for the north and the west, continued areas of low pressure pushing in. Quite a mild sector moving through on the 9th, but generally, it's mild. It's pretty mild. It's wet. It's stormy. It's Atlantic driven. Brief cold snaps for the north, but overall, really nothing going on. Just continuing the Atlantic onslaught, as people like to call it. Yeah, very wet, quite windy, and quite stormy, and mild as well. That's not a great one. A few weeks ago, they were showing blocking patterns developing into the first week of December. Where did they go? They vanished, just like they normally do. And moving on to the GEM, the worst model out of the bunch, we have higher pressure out to the west of the UK, ridging through the country, low pressure systems pushing in from the west, maybe slipping southwards as they move in, but generally pretty mild. Slightly different though. Higher pressure is being sent up to Scandinavia, between Greenland and Scandinavia. Low pressure systems continue to slide underneath that, so colder air is digging into Eastern Europe. UK on the periphery of that continues to see low pressure systems moving in, but as you can see here, higher pressure is still evident to the north, but low pressure systems look to topple that. Does look a bit different though. You can see there's a weak ridge through the country, but that will be toppled pretty quickly by Atlantic low pressure systems. However, the GEM is splitting the polar vortex at its roots, so you can see the two, it's splitting into two lobes. If you look at the northern hemisphere view, you can see this is the polar vortex at its roots, but it's not kind of sticking together. There's bits going all around. So there's a bit in the Atlantic, there's a bit up to the far northwest of the North Pole. It's kind of all over the place, but again, GM, how reliable is it? Down the toilet. Again, on to the next run, 1st December, low pressure systems moving in from off the Atlantic. It is mild, wet and windy. Looks quite stormy on the 6th of December with a low pressure system sat right over the top of the UK, and that looks pretty miserable for all parts. Yeah, pretty much the same theme. Low pressure up to the west, higher pressure to the south, winds in from a southwesterly direction. So pretty mild. And finally, the ECM AI FS model. Very similar for the next 2 weeks, basically skip through it, skip. Low pressure systems continue to barrage in. Up to the 12th of December, by the 14th, higher pressures beginning to build to our south and east and drag up a even milder southerly flow. So that looks even worse. Low pressure out to the west getting cut off. Higher pressure to the east, winds in from a proper southwesterly flow. Oh dear. We're back to this sort of pattern again. Well, that's a disaster, isn't it? Send it to Skeggy. The blocking patterns will return in April, hopefully. Let's help Matthew with the growth of his page. Time dedication to his channel and sharing. Oh, cheers, Brenman. I do appreciate it a lot. I do appreciate your nice messages. Thank you very much. Yeah, Chris, I do appreciate it, and I'll keep going with it, really. It's doing pretty well at the moment. I'm not going to complain, and hopefully during the winter things pick up and we get the predictions right, and we're on to a good one. Well, this is the latest... yeah, cheers, Chris, as always. This is the latest GFS ensembles, which for the midday runs. And you can see that takes us out to around the 15th of December, so 3rd week of December. At the moment, we are slightly below average, bit of that colder snap moving through very briefly. But generally, after this little brief milder spell, temperatures are returning to around average. You can see the GFS operational run is very zonal and quite cyclonic. So you can see big rain spikes, which is where low pressure systems are pushing through, actually dragging up milder air around them. Not well supported by the by the ensembles in the GFS, so all the individual runs not well supported. Temperatures just look to trend to around, just maybe slightly above average for the first couple of weeks of December. Not really much hints of cold, except from this run, which is definitely happening. One run here you go. Builds out a ridge in the Atlantic by the 12th, and we are bringing down some quite cold air, minus 10 degrees through the country. Definitely happening. Definitely verifying you have my word for it. It looks pretty cold. Trying to get heights towards Scandinavia by the end. I'm not saying anything more about that because it is the biggest outlier I've ever seen on a weather chart. But there you go. What was that voice? I have no idea. Let's fix that. But yeah, pretty mild. And also, if you look at the precipitation, then you can see it is pretty unsettled for the next couple of weeks as well. Brief dry interludes, but overall it's pretty wet and windy, to be honest. Wind starts 21st December on the solstice. Yep, it does, but depends on how you look at it. Meteorological winter or seasonal winter. When do I need to book holidays? You don't need to move. You are you don't need to move at all. You get it all the time. 20 degrees down here, and it's like a blizzard up there. That's what always happens. We'll see. James can have the snow. Yeah, he certainly can. He's getting it all ready, as he normally does, but there you go. Well, this is something I haven't shown in a few weeks. Here is the current sea surface temperature anomaly charts. These are taken from yesterday, the 28th of November. I don't have the current ones, I'm afraid, but I do have yesterday's. So, we are going to focus on the North Atlantic, the Pacific, which, the Pacific, as you can see, the blues indicate the colder sea surface temperatures, and the reds, the reds and the oranges indicate the milder temperatures. So we're going to focus on this region first, the ENSO region. Now we are in a weak La Nina signature, a weak La Nina winter this year, which is why there's a lot of blues in the Pacific. And you can see that the signal's pretty strong. If we look in the North Atlantic, there was talk of a tripole, and if you remember a few weeks ago, I was not convinced. I'm still not convinced. Now you can see through the through the North Atlantic, just to the south of Greenland. You can see a bit of a warmer sector below that in the North Atlantic. Cooler slightly, but it's not a strong signal. But around that, towards the UK, out to the western parts of Africa, part of Spain, you can see warmer sea surface temperatures, slightly cooler in that central band of the North Atlantic. Now that is can be down to low pressure systems cooling it down, or even warming it up. So it can go either way on that. But the signal is not really well defined. I'm actually going to zoom in. No, I can't zoom in. But you get the idea. This is the UK on the east of the chart. Here you go. That's us there. But you can see generally, it's not a great signal for a tripole, I've got to be honest. Slightly cooler through this western portion. Slightly milder to warmer to the south of Greenland. And to the south of that as well, to the south of the general Atlantic, which we focus on. But generally, it's not a great signal. You want to see a stronger, colder sector than what we're seeing here. It's quite weak. But yeah, looking at that ENSO region, it's looking pretty good, but it's not going to last. It might not even last the full winter season. I've heard hints that by January, it's going to be gone, and it's going to be back to neutral, and then El Nino for next year. But, again, lots of surmising and lots of interest to go. I have just moved the screen down just so I can see this. The mean central England temperature for November is currently sat at 8.5 degrees. That is 2.1 degrees above average, provisional to the 28th of November. Will that finish at 2 degrees above average? Yes, it probably will. It'll finish at about 8.4 would be my guess. But yeah, we'll see how it goes on. 4 seasons, but we could get a 6-month winter. Yeah, we could do. USA always gets it bad for snow. Look at them. Yeah, they always do. They always do. Peppered with so much warm water. Yeah, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? If you compare it to previous years. That is an upcoming video because at university I'm doing about the Arctic and sea ice and stuff. So obviously I'm pretty good on it all, and it's got some good facts in there. So you might see a video on me looking back on all of the years. Well, from, I don't know, 1st of December, and we'll look back at all the previous years to see the development of the sea surface temperatures over the last few years and just see how things have really changed from one extreme to another, down to quite a few factors. I'm not going to say the CC word, but I'm sure you can all guess what it would be, because we don't dig into that on this channel. But, yeah, it's definitely changed. The course has definitely changed. USA getting loads of cold shots and snow. Meanwhile, the UK gets peeing rain, yeah. Bremer says, any idea how Russia is doing compared to average? Pretty bad. From what I've seen, they're not getting that level that they normally do. But I'll have a quick look, actually. I think I can bring them up. As I see, Tromsø has most snow in decades. See some of the pics, yeah. Saw James's shed as well had like 27 centimetres. But yeah, we don't dig into that. Right. I need to stop mentioning that, don't I? Right. This is something which is, I don't know really. This is probably being manipulated by the media in some ways, but I'll just say it as it is. At the moment, this is the year 2025, is represented by this blue line. This is the lowest recorded year on record. This is the Arctic sea ice extent, so the North Pole, the South Pole, the Arctic, as you'd consider, the Arctic to the north of us, the Arctic Circle, which, yeah, why am I holding a peg? I don't know. But this is the worst year, is 2012. We saw the weakest or the least sea ice extent during this year, during September. You can see though it recovered. This is the average, is this black line, and then basically every other average year. Now looking at this is pretty worrying. If we look at the current situation, we are well below, not well below, but we are about, I don't know, 0.5 to 1 million square kilometres less than one of the worst years on record, which was 2012 sea ice extent. We are below that. The average is about 3.5 million square kilometres more, which is pretty bad. I've got to be honest, it's very bad. We're nowhere near any of this range. That's the range here, between around 12 and 10 million square kilometres of sea ice extent. So you can imagine a massive scale of that, but we're about 9, so not great at all. It is the worst on record, I think. It's one of the worst on record, if not the worst. It looks pretty dire, that chart. But, again, it varies from year to year. And we're using old averages. We're using 81 to 2010. Why not 1991 to 2020? Why are we using old averages? It just skews the data more. We're in a different climate compared to be compared to 20 years ago. It's silly, really. I don't know why it's not been updated to the latest, but it's all part of their plan, isn't it? Oh no, what have I just said? Anyway, right, enough of that. But you can all have your own judgments on that. I've got my opinion on that, definitely. But yeah. Hello, Mark. Well, nice to see you in the chat. Hello to Crift. SSW lasted 3 hours. It did not last long. Why are you saying that? Paul Cold Lover's having a nightmare? No. I'm not having a nightmare. I report whatever's going on. It's whatever, innit? Yeah, we'll see. Hello to Criff Beast. Nice to see you in the chat. We should be able to see both average periods. Yeah, definitely. We should be able to. But we'll see. Australia's supposed to be heading for something for summer, yet still cooler. Yeah. 2016 was marginally worse for sea ice of this day. Oh, cheers, Anne. Yeah, it's pretty close, though, isn't it? I do know it is pretty bad in the grand scheme. I mean, if you look at that chart, and I know it's based on old averages, but it still looks pretty bad, really, doesn't it? So we've got to imagine that 2016 was probably something like this then, haven't we? Maybe slightly higher at times, but generally a little bit below. But it's not great. I won't say any more on that. We'll have a look at the latest... oh my God, best crazy, but I knew you'd turn up. How are you doing? Right, I do agree with you there. Anyway, higher pressure is centred to the south. Low pressure is moving in from off the Atlantic. This is the CFS experimental run, which lots of you were shouting at before, and I couldn't care less. I show what I want. Low pressure is moving in from off the Atlantic. It's very mild, wet, and windy for the first couple of weeks of December. Into the third week, though, higher pressure is trying to build to the north and doesn't. We see heights building strongly over Spain. Low pressure is sat to the northwest, and winds are in from a mild southwesterly direction. High pressure tries to build to our northeast, but doesn't successfully. Topples away to the east, and we actually bring in a very mild southwesterly flow into the end of the month. Oh dear. And if you're wondering how Christmas looks, frosty and pretty mild overall. Do see heights trying to get going towards Scandinavia, and do successfully. We do begin to bring in some colder air, trickling in from a long way eastwards off the chart from Western Russia, trying to drag in some colder air. However, the heights topple because the polar vortex is too strong, bringing in low pressure systems very quickly. Look at that cold air sinking into Eastern Europe, into parts of the Balkans, Italy, and, well, typically we're seeing mild air, let's go, and all that cold gets shifted to the east. We go back into a westerly flow. Do see higher pressure building to over into the south of the country, brief ridging in the Atlantic, but generally it's pretty mild, wet, and windy. Again, heights try to... Oh. Heights try to get going towards Scandinavia towards the end of winter. Yeah, we're getting a bit desperate here. Higher pressure building towards Scandinavia. Winds dragging into an easterly direction. We are under the high pressure, so mostly dry. But you can see that the colder air is here. High pressure maintaining itself towards Scandinavia, but goes too far northwards. It's a bit far north, but we do tap into some colder air. -10 line into the north of Scotland. All of us looking pretty cold. Travel low pressure diving into that cold air could be fun and games. That is quite cold and very wintry as well. At the end of Feb, lows sliding southwards, but generally cold snap for a couple of weeks there. Actually, looks quite cold. Not really wintry because we're under high pressure, but could have a few wintry showers, I suppose, in the north and the east if that came off. Before, oh dear, then into March it turns mild again, mild, wet, and windy. Do see brief cold into the far north. Look at all that cold to the north. And we tap into barely any of that. Maybe Scotland seeing some. Oh, and then look at this. Into April. Oh dear. Higher pressure properly ridging. In the North Atlantic, all the cold air shooting southwards when it's too late. So that would just be typical. Look at this. All these blocking patterns after winter's over. And it's all these blocking patterns get going. But we're a long way off anyway. It's not really anything to worry about. -5 line in May. Yeah, pretty common actually. With that one, but there you go, that's enough of that. Christmas lights going to get soaking again, still wet from last year. Yeah, probably. A few weeks ago you mentioned perhaps talking more about Europe and worldwide weather. Still planning? Yes, I certainly am. I certainly am, Braemar. I mean, Chris, I'll call you by your proper name. No matter how you look at this winter, with everything in place for a cold winter, it stays mild. Oh, just shut up, Alan. Honestly, you're talking absolute trash. Go back into your little hole. just go like this. Just chill. Just chill. There's no need. And how do you know that? We're not even in the winter yet, buddy. So, yeah. Sorry, everyone. I feel like I've been a bit annoyed, but it does annoy me. It does annoy me. Think I'll buy some sunscreen for Christmas since the UK's is taking the beat with mild weather. It certainly is. It certainly is. Nice one it is all that your carers arrived, by the way. Sorry, it does annoy me. It does. All these mild rampers in my comment section. Oh, mild, yeah. I didn't even say that, alright? I didn't say that. I'm not saying anything. I am not saying anything. I'm just here to make a video on the weather. Yeah, but to answer your question, Chris, Rob Braemar, I'm planning on it. I just need to work out the right way to implement it into my content. Just listen to send it. Yeah. But we'll see. Right. Anyway, that's it. I've shown everything that I wanted to show on this live stream. I didn't think it'd be that long because, to be honest, there's not a lot going on. But well, it's a bit of fun, innit? We'll have a read through the chat. We'll have a read. Your bald head is big. Oh, that's a funny one. Sorry, that's too funny. Weather frustrates me, especially those dodgy news articles. Daily Mail will be jumping all over that last video. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Yeah. -15 my way in autumn last week. Few more of them in winter yet to come. After you'll have access to my 100 crust. Oh, brilliant. I'll have to have a look at them again. I do have the link still. I'll be sure to share some of them in my videos and obviously leave a link to that. Yeah. I'll have to get onto that. I need to get better at this sort of thing. Stay in that box. Oh my word. Have fun saying bathing in the cold. Yeah, you'll get a bit soaked, but I guess if that's your thing, then go with it, innit? But yeah. Can't write off winter when we haven't even started winter yet, lol. Yeah, exactly. It's not even started yet. We've already got people in my comments writing it off. Oh, it's over. Everyone, get back in your bed. It's over. We're not even in winter yet. It's the 29th of November. Winter, like John pointed out earlier, it doesn't start. The solstice isn't until the 21st of December. So we'll see. Is there going to be snow in Hopgarden, Austria on the 9th of December? Probably. Probably. I'll have to have a look. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in to today's stream. Hopefully you all enjoyed my little rant because, we've got to. Okay, Alan, whatever. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Next video, we'll be looking back at the sea surface temperature anomalies from the past. Well, I don't know. We'll see how far the data goes back. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Do appreciate your continued support as we grow towards 3,000 subscribers. And I'll see you all in the next one.